Any questions? We just finished our third OTA.
Early impressions of Jared Cook?
Look, what he did in Oakland was similar to a lot of the things we do formationally, but he's smart and he's got range. You see his route savviness and his ability to get in and out of cuts. The best thing he does is run after the catch. It's hard to measure that out here when we're not tackling, but he's real good that way.
And just his years in the league, I'm guessing when you talk to him, it's different than talking, especially coming off a rookie minicamp. I mean, he's been around a while, right?
He has. So he's been utilized in different ways. He's explosive. He runs extremely well. I think he's in good shape. So, it's the first time that he and Drew are working together, and they'll get a ton of reps and ton of work in between now and when we get started in the end of July.
Your thoughts on the tweak to the new replay rule?
Well, they didn't tweak it yesterday. What they did yesterday was they allowed the competition committee in the upcoming weeks, after we begin to watch some of these videos, all the teams' head coaches are going to basically see the same OPI, DPI video. So what was voted on yesterday was the ability to tweak, which simply would put it in the coach's hands inside of 2 minutes rather than replay's hands.
Sean, but with that being said, with the helmet to helmet, do you think that'll be the same or that'll be addressed?
Nothing's changed relative to helmet to helmet. The vote yesterday was just simply, if they want to take OPI, DPI, the concern is that there's 2 or 3 or 4 stoppages in the last 2 minutes of a half or a game because of maybe the contact that was seen. Would we rather have the coach utilize the challenge flag as opposed to the replay upstairs? That was the vote yesterday was simply to allow the committee to change it in the next coming weeks from one to the other. So it's not going away. It's just a matter of how we're going to handle the last 2 minutes.
So you think the competition committee will address before the season starts as far as missed calls on helmet to helmet, like what happened in the Dallas game?
Yeah, that's already been looked at, watched, addressed, discussed. That's already taken place. How do you correct those things? But that's not something we're discussing right now.
What's it like having Traven back, as part of the practice team after his injury last season?
Well, he's healthy. He's had a whole off season to get healthy. I think he's in better shape. He's a little stronger in his lower body. So it's good to have him out here so we can get an evaluation and begin to work with him.
What did you see from Sylvester Williams a couple weeks ago?
So, look, we felt inside. There's a presence. We like his size. I think we're bigger, in the defensive front than we were a year ago this time. So, I thought he handled those 3 days pretty well.
What have you seen from Cyril Grayson so far? That's the wide receiver from LSU.
Yeah, he's a guy that can run exceptionally well. He's a little bit limited relative to the experience he's had, but he's been in a few camps now. So I think the first thing is speed. He'll get a chance to look at him in the return game as well. But he is someone that runs exceptionally well. He seemed to pick things up. Again, he's been with a few offenses already now, and I think this is his third in this league. So we'll take a look at him.
The speed. I mean, and I know he was a track guy.
Yeah.
Would you call it like elite speed even for this level?
Well, it would probably be a little too early to say, but he runs well, which in our league is important. He runs exceptionally well.
A guy like that, you need to see him in pads too, though. Just
all of these guys. But he's behind. Just when you look at snaps played prior to coming into this league, and yet there's a trait there that other teams have seen, and we too have seen the same thing. So we'll look at him.
What's the hardest part of adjusting to the new guys and making adjustments after you're getting them acclimated to your program for the veterans?
Well, look, as you install each day, it's hard to evaluate a player when he doesn't know what to do, and so knowing what to do is the starting point. It's almost it's a prerequisite. So, look, they're not going to learn it right away, but it's the process of learning, what we're doing, and then how we're coaching it. They're all lifting and running right now. You know, some of them are in better shape than others, but again, it's May.
Do you find yourself scrutinizing the center quarterback chemistry more than you might have done in the last couple of years?
Well, I'm sure we will. I think, look, you know, Nick is a guy that has played center and started for Minnesota and got experience. You know, certainly McCoy's someone, you know, who's played a long time, be it at the college level. So, but yeah, you got to work through some of those things anytime you make a change at that position.
Sean, as far as the return game, like punt return, have you addressed that twofold, not only with individual player, but maybe scheme or what?
Yeah, look, right now there's only so much you're doing, you know, so we have candidates, and you know, we get a chance to work on the technique of what we're trying to do relative to rush, relative to our return game. You know, Darren and those guys are working on, you know, what are the strengths of our players, and yet, man, it's an area where there's a little bit of meat left on the bone. I think we can improve, and I'm sure that Darren, Phil, and those guys would agree. So, but the early steps in the process right now are just the individual technique involved and hold up technique involved and what you're trying to do relative to the return game.
Sean, what attracted y'all to Latavius Murray?
Well, we had seen him two different clubs. First off, he's got great football makeup. He's smart. He's got real good speed, and he's a downhill runner. I think he fits with what we're trying to do.
Coach, what's your early interpretation of JT Barrett so far?
Well, early, we've had him now for, you know, a little over a year. So he's doing well. You know, he's further along, obviously, now than he would have been a year ago at this time. You know, he's got to continue to work through his progressions, but he's this is the time of the year where those guys are getting, you know, plenty of work and reps. So he's working at it.
Anything new with Drew or anything different you noticed? Same guy?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's nothing. He's good shape. It's all nothing to report. It's a good thing.
That's a good thing, yeah.
Sean, where is I look at the individual career with the interception, North Park. Where is that university?
I believe it's up in the Midwest. They play in that, man. I think it's in Illinois.
Is it NAIA?
No, I think it's Division III.
Okay.
Augustana, Ken Anderson. That was your era, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wheaton College, North Central, Elmhurst. Getting a few of those names. Go ahead. Well, I think we're always monitoring, you know, what we do in practice. No one's in pads right now, and so I think the big emphasis is when training camp begins. I'm not, you know, I'm familiar with the Oklahoma drill. That's not something that we work on. But look, when you just get a handful of dots that are heavy in training camp, A, you understand that we're in pads a little bit more than we've been, and then B, how do we address that? And so each club looks closely at, you know, how we can, you know, keep our players on the field healthy. Thank you.